Donald Trump's presidency continues to be an abject lesson in the persistence of systemic racism, and a recent FBI report shows how little this administration regards black people. Good morning. Welcome to Black Almanac. I'm Ed James, and joining me on today's program is political analyst Dr. Lawrence Miller. The FBI released a report warning that black identity extremists are a new threat to law enforcement, even though white supremacist violence and police violence are more prevalent issues, because Trump's administration is more focused on quelling black people's response to oppression than actually stopping systemic racism. Well, Dr. Miller, thanks for coming by again. We got a full agenda.
Yes, we do. And I thank you for having me on your show.
Always. But before we get into the meat of where we want to go, I think we should share with our viewers that they are paying for the president's attorneys.
Yes.
There are 4 cases that the attorneys for the Justice Department and the legal aids that they use in the Justice Department are doing an investigation trying to get Trump off from his almost violations of the emolument clause. And you reminded me that not only is the Justice Department paying, but that's the everyday taxpayer.
Yes.
But the Republican National Committee, it's paying, and who else is paying for him?
Well, he has his own campaign committee that pays for these different things. And he has made an announcement that he would help to pay for anybody who was in his campaign for their legal fees.
With whose money?
Certainly not his. Well, at least it doesn't appear to be.
Well, Thursday was a big day for the Republicans. They happen to have, which is interesting, the process is you normally pass the bill, whatever the bill is, in the House, send it to the Senate, and they accept or finagle with it, and then we go and bring the 2 parties together, and then we get a law.
Exactly.
But tell us what has happened.
Well, what has happened is that the House of Representatives has gone ahead and passed its version of a quote-unquote tax reform, tax cut bill. A bill that adds $1.5 trillion to the debt. Now, the interesting part of this is that the debt, which they have talked about all throughout the 8 years of Barack Obama's presidency, is no longer a concern, at least not up front. Because when you add $1.5 trillion, that's like adding more gasoline onto the fire, okay? So here it is, we're dealing with that, and you have certain aspects of it that are in opposition to what the Senate is contemplating. Okay, take for example state and local taxes, up to about $10,000 you can take as a deduction in the House bill. In the Senate bill, they eliminate that altogether. And you know, the interesting thing about the tax bill is that the states that do have state and local income taxes, they are what's called donor states.
Absolutely.
They give more money than what they get back from the U.S. government, okay? As a matter of fact, part of the largest part of the U.S. debt is owned by state and local governments. Whereas if they would tell their controller, well, you know, as a punishment, let's take our money and demand that we go ahead and get our money back from the United States government, it would send this economy into a tailspin. See, people don't realize when politicians get up and start talking about how we all owe all this money to China, what these politicians leave out is the fact that the American people own most of the debt that the United States has through Social Security and Medicare payments and the state and local taxes. So when you have the state and local taxes included in one and not in the other in terms of the two houses, that's the House of Representatives and the Senate, they're going to have to take this to conference, where in the conference committee they'll have to work out the differences between the two, and that'll be interesting to see.
Yes, since they are still putting these packages together
Yes,
behind closed doors,
exactly.
then telling the membership, the general membership, this is what we want you to vote for.
Exactly.
I wonder, and as I looked at what the Senate is talking about, something, I don't know where it's going to go, but they have saying that they're becoming greedy to be able to get money to pay off the oligarchs. And we do have them in America.
Yes, we do.
It's not a foreign term. They're saying folk who've worked hard, save their money in IRAs and whatever, and you save it there because you don't have to worry about prepaying your tax.
Right.
You can pay tax on the back end as you retire and have less money, it seems, and use it.
Right.
Now they want to cap it and force everyone to take a Roth,
Right.
where you get the money up front. Do you think the majority of the folk understand that?
No, I don't. I don't think that people, everyday hard-working people who are trying to make it from paycheck to paycheck, understand that. And it's a significant difference in terms of what we're talking about, because you laid it out quite well, okay? I earn a different level, probably less than when I'm retired than when I'm actually working. And so when you have this kind of situation, it's a us against them type of situation. You know, you have the workers who are still working and those who have retired or are not working anymore. And one feeling that the other is carrying the burden for the people who they're not a part of. So we end up in these situations where it's a us against them situation.
And the us against them is not the big guys against the little guys. It's the politicians against everybody except that 1%.
Except that 1%. Now just think about this tax bill as it relates to the corporate taxes. The corporate taxes are going to be permanent. They're going to go down from 35% to 20% in this House of Representatives tax bill. But the taxes for you and I are temporary. In 2025, they're going to go away. So you tell me what the priorities are when the estate taxes and the corporate taxes are permanent, but the alternative tax is temporary. A lot of the different deductions are temporary in their tax bill. So you can see when people craft any piece of legislation, who their priorities are as it relates to the public at large. So, you know, we're in a situation where that 1% that you're talking about are upset with the Republican Party. And they want the Republican Party to do what they promised them, basically what they were going to do. Because the taxes that you and I might save, let's say it's $1,200 over the course of a year. They get way more, you know, in terms of the 1% than you and I might ever think about. And the other, think about this too, the President of the United States. We don't know what his taxes are, so we don't know how this legislation that's coming forward benefits him and his family.
You can bet your bottom dollar it benefits him and his family. The other thing is, when you're talking about reducing it from 35%, corporate tax from 35% to 20%. Nobody pays 35% now anyway.
Exactly.
They weren't even paying 20%. They're paying closer to 18%.
Some of them were not paying taxes at all.
At all.
You know, you end up in a situation where some of these American companies move out, still operate in the United States, but move out to these foreign countries, Ireland, for example, to go ahead and avoid paying taxes at all in terms of the U.S. Treasury. What leaves you and I to make up that gap, that the billions of dollars that they have earned in profits.
We've been led by the new administration to believe that we are bringing jobs back to America and bringing jobs. No one asked him out loud, Mr. President, where are your ties, your suits, and your all the things that bear your name made?
Right.
Or where does your daughter's handbags and everything she done made?
Well, those people who are working over at Mar-a-Lago, where do they come from?
Where they come from?
So like I said before, it is the general people in this country who have to make up that difference as far as the taxes that could have been charged to these corporations as opposed to what's going on right now.
You know, last week we had a chance to talk about the sisters and what they did
Yes.
in the vote, especially in Virginia. Well, this past week, the sisters did it again.
Yes.
Representative Baxter out of California, when she questioned Mr. Sessions, I believe he purposely plays the old fool. Now, I say that because that's the way he acts.
Where?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't
I
recall.
don't remember. I can't recall.
Right.
Well, she lit him up because and prior to that, the sister Harris, who was the
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris from California. It's interesting, both of them from California.
Yes.
Asked him, what about his FBI? A few programs back, we talked a little bit about COINTEL
Yes.
and J. Edgar Hoover and his FBI and what they were doing, what they did to Dr. King.
Yes. To the Black Panthers.
The Black
Party.
Panthers, blowing up a row house in Philadelphia to get one person. We dropped a bomb. A bomb was dropped on private homes
Exactly.
because you want to get one guy who you say is a danger to the country.
Exactly. And the thing about COINTEL, just so people understand, the FBI will infiltrate black organizations and then help to encourage not just civil disobedience, but actually criminal acts against people and property, of which they would then come in and arrest, and at some points, situations, kill the activists like a Fred Hampton, okay, who died in his bed from a hail of bullets from the FBI. So here it is, we have this situation where a number of members of the Congressional Black Caucus recently asked Mr. Sessions, the Attorney General, about black extremists. And the fact that you will put them in one category, but you don't put white extremists like the KKK in the same basket. You understand? They're not.
But I'm here to deny that the groups that they are trying to call black extremists are not black extremists.
Are not black extremists at all. Exactly. I agree 100%. But the thing about this was the fact that they brought out the disparity between what they see happening in the African American community and what they see in the white community. Take, for example, drugs, right? When crack cocaine was at its height, everybody in the Justice Department were talking about lock them up, lock them up, lock them up. But when it comes to the opioid, now we got to treat this as a mental health problem.
Because it has affected so many white folk.
Exactly. So they brought that out in the hearing that they had with Attorney General Sessions, and he had no real answer for it. He had no report on some of the things that he promised that he was going to come back and report to them about as far as these issues are concerned. They also asked about FBI agents who are being charged in certain regions. How many of them are African American? How many of your senior staff are African American? Now, you don't hear about this in terms of mainstream media, but you know, it's programs like yours and others that we get the word out about what's happening that affect our community. And that's very important, because these type of things that we're dealing with today, such as the opioid crisis, right? We need to address that, no question. But we need to have the same compassion when we start talking about crack cocaine, marijuana. We got people in jail right now who sold marijuana or smoked marijuana or had possession of marijuana, where you have states that it is decriminalized as far as marijuana use is concerned. So this disparity in terms of justice is really having an effect upon our community. Because if I go ahead and say that it's all right to have police officers tell you to get up against the wall and search you because you have this broken windows policy, right? Broken windows meaning that I'm going to go ahead and whatever crimes are going on in that community, may it be spitting on the sidewalk, I'm gonna have the police arrest those individuals.
Yeah,
I got a young person with a marijuana cigarette in their pocket. Now that young kid has a record. And once they go for a job, they've been arrested, okay, and maybe have given some suspended sentence, but still they got a report that is being convicted on their record.
Yeah, that broken windows policy was about supposedly getting every little infraction
Right.
and making it a crime, theoretically, to keep them from getting to a point to do big crimes.
Big crimes, exactly.
But that was another excuse to pick up little people off the street
No question.
and ruin them in advance.
Exactly. And what about community policing? What about that worked in terms of getting the police officers to work with people in the community to get to know them better so that they get the assistance of the community in terms of ridding the community of any criminal element. But here it is, you choose Broken Arrow, where that goes ahead and now sets us in a position where I see a police officer harassing some young kid and throwing them down on the ground, you know, like the cigarettes that happened over in Staten Island, which they still haven't gone ahead and brought any federal charges revolving around that. So, you know, this is the kind of thing that they challenged Attorney General Sessions on.
And I think we should also
Eric Gardner.
let the viewers understand that Sessions FBI, and I'm calling it that, he's Attorney General, or Trump's FBI, if you will, since he fires at will,
Yes.
released a report in August that came out with this extremist policy, black extremist organizations,
Exactly.
under the pretense that black extremist organization would inflame the black community so that they would attack the police department.
No question. And the thing here is, it just shows you how the outside world looks at this as opposed to this conservative base that you're talking about. Black Lives Matter would be one of those type of groups that they would see as extremists. But Black Lives Matter just received an award from a group in the Netherlands revolving around how they're trying to bring the community together under peaceful means to address some of the problems that they see as it relates to how the police interact with the African American community.
I agree. And if it wasn't for Foreign Service magazine, most of us may not have realized any time until it was over that this report was out there.
Yes.
Because they don't share with everybody what they do.
Right. You're absolutely right. And you know, the thing here is that we've been kicking around these issues and others. Think about it from this perspective also. Most people, when you stop them on the street and you ask them what's a republic, something that they swore to, right? They don't know what it is, right? Most people, when you talk about democracy and social democracy and what we are today, more like an oligarchy, where you have elites who are running the society, they don't get to realize how much government has an effect upon their lives and what they should be doing, like we talk about often on the show, getting out there and voting so that they have different people who represent their community. And I would say one other thing. I've run different campaigns and I've been a candidate for different campaigns. One of the things that politicians do is they make sure they go out to communities that people are voting consistently. They're called super voters. So I implore every time I come on a show to have people make sure that they come out and vote, because it's very important. And 2018 is going to be a big year for that.
Before we leave this subject, I want to go back a little bit, because what I see is they're taking us back. And what the Bible says, my people die for lack of knowledge
and vision.
Yeah. What we are seeing with this so-called black extremists, labeling some of our groups as black extremists, is what we saw. It's what they did to the Panthers in Oakland.
Yes.
And they were started as a educational breakfast group, taking care of the babies, feeding the children.
Right. Talking about buying things in your own community from people who look like you so that the dollars would turn around in their own community.
And then Professor Malana Karenga in the US organization, things had gotten so bad in LA till they organized, and whenever a police car came into community, one of the US cars would follow the police car didn't do anything. The entire time they rode through the community.
Right.
And because they are trying to destroy the local organizations. I don't know, but people, get ready.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm glad that we have members of Congress who will hold the feet to the fire of people like Sessions. And I hope more messages, the message gets out about what they're trying to do. Because, like I said before, programs like yours helps to educate people in the community as to what's going on from a perspective of what's happening in our community.
And this past week, the brothers, the Brown brothers, black representative, Hispanic representative, filed articles of impeachment, 5 articles of impeachment of Mr. Trump in the House.
Obstruction of justice, the emolument clause, freedom of the press, freedom of speech. All of these were different articles that they brought as far as impeachment are concerned. And impeachment doesn't mean that you've been removed from office. It just means that the House has brought an indictment against you. In order for a federal officer to be removed, the president included, there has to be a trial in the Senate, and 2/3 of the senators have to vote in the affirmative for the officer to be removed.
Well, and what we're beginning to see, especially in the last few weeks,
Yes.
the other side is moving faster in trying to destroy our community. Systemic racism
Yes.
never left. That's why it's systemic. It's throughout everything we do.
Everything we do, every institution. And one other thing another initiative I want to bring to your attention as far as the conservatives are concerned, is that they want to try and have a constitutional convention. 28 different states have already gone ahead and approved for there to be a constitutional convention. And with a constitutional convention, you can actually change the Constitution of the United States. And so 6 other states they're targeting to go ahead and see if they can't make that happen. The thing about it is we've already got a situation where the minority is in charge of our government. Because if you remember, Trump did not win the popular vote. Okay?
The majority of the people did not, in spite of Russia and WikiLeaks and everything else.
They did not vote for Trump. So here it is. If I can go ahead and keep down the voting in different communities, especially those that would be against my agenda, then I can be victorious in terms of having my people in. And that means at every level of government, may it be the judiciary, the executive branch, and the legislative branch. And if you see right now, that's what's happening in America. You have a president who is a conservative, you have a conservative Congress, and you have a conservative judiciary. So I implore people to get out and vote and make sure that their voices are heard.
Once upon a time, the Fourth Estate helped. But now they've infiltrated that with Breitbart and all of these phony blogs and phony news. Well, Dr. Miller, I don't know. We had a whole list of things we were going to go to.
Right.
But we got hung up in one area. But it was something we talked about, what needed to be talked about.
Definitely. And I appreciate you.
And I appreciate you more. And I'm not going to get in trouble with Mrs. Miller.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is say, Dr. Miller, take a couple weeks and
come on back. All right. Well, thank you.
And we appreciate it. And always have a great day, Suncoast.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joan London with A Place for Mom. Over the years, we've helped thousands of families find senior care, and today's senior living communities have never been better, with amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And nobody understands your options like the advisors at A Place for Mom. These are local expert advisors that will partner with you to find the perfect place and determine the right level of care, whether that's just a helping hand or full-time memory care. Best of all, it's a free service. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family, we know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Call A Place for Mom right now to get our free ebook on financing senior care, as well as a free referral for senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-290-0352. That's 1-800-290-0352.